Welcome, everyone, to the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm Suzanne Roberts, your host, author of It's Deeper Than That, and founder of The Great Reconnection. And I'm so excited to have here with us today Lori Candon. I've known Lori for a long time, and I'm so touched by where she is now in her life and everything that she's gone through to be here. So thank you, Lori, for being here.
It's a pleasure.
And Lori, I'd like to start with, because I know that you do Qigong and Tai Chi and retreats, and you live in Ohio and Costa Rica. Listen to that, y'all. But can you tell us what along your journey brought you to Tai Chi and Qigong and doing retreats?
I'd be happy to. It really all began in my 30s. I was searching for a way to be more fully alive. When I was much younger, I lived through some trauma, the murder-suicide of my parents when I was 13. And
That is some trauma, some big trauma, big
yeah,
T.
yes.
Right.
And I still navigate that to this day, very much differently than I did in the beginning. And I learned how to function, if you will. I was very good at functioning. You were to look at me, you would never know. I had the great mask on. And as I aged, and like I said earlier, around my 30s, I was like, there's more. I knew the more when I was little, and I wanted to re-engage.
Can you talk about the more you knew when you were little before the big T happened?
How do I describe it? Language is so hard to describe it for me. There was access to creativity, to a depth of being with nature and the mystery. Like, even though I was very imaginative, I would say. Like, I would lead school, I had all the books laid out. If I played in the sandbox, it wasn't just playing in the sandbox. It was, okay, we have a store. I'm going to make ice cream cones. And, like, it was fuller of life. And I just enjoyed being out in nature, really in the imagination of what's possible, whether that was myself interacting or through reading books and transporting myself into a different space, if you would. And while I carried that with me, I think that's really what allows me to be here today, is that deeper connection with that innate soul essence, if you will, or that, everything's all right. There's that place that there's no illness, there's no trauma, there's no anything other than life. And after the big T, even though that was there, it got stuffed down and just, I had to function, and I was obviously didn't know how to really be in that. I learned adaptive strategies, like ingrained adaptive strategies, and
To survive, right?
to survive and to function, to be a part of society in a functioning way. I remember being told, go to see a counselor, or, get some help with this. And I remember being told that they really didn't necessarily want to cure me or help me outside of being able to function day to day. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And that I still hold, like, I hold that, like, I can function. And that's really I wanted more. I knew that there was more. And it's really interesting because when I met you all those years ago, I had started my yoga teacher training and I was reading in books about energy and more than what is just this tangible human like functioning ability. And I'm like, ooh, this is really resonating with me. And I read tons and tons and tons. And then I actually met you, a person, a live person that was saying what I was reading. And I was like, wow, I can have that too. Or
Mm,
here's a resource for me to, build my capacity for access for more. And
mm,
I've been doing that ever since, whether it's through the integral movement, started with yoga, then it moved into Tai Chi and Qigong. And those for me, I feel like I've been doing those my entire life. And it just clicked. And it was so innate for me that I found a place to rest. Being still at times brought me back to the trauma because I was frozen in the trauma.
mm,
And with the Tai Chi, the integral movement, the Qigong, yoga, it allowed me to be in that meditative space while moving. Now I have since adapted that into stillness, which is great. But there was I needed that little nugget, if you will, to help deepen my own connection with myself. And I carry it with me in everything I do, really.
I just want to take a moment here because you've said a lot, and it is a lot to live through a murder suicide of your parents. I absolutely cherish that you had a world developed inside of you prior to it,
Mhm.
and it was in there awaiting you. And the way that you could access it was through movement that is intentional movement towards reconnection rather than I'm just going out for a jog, which you could jog for reconnection or you could jog for disconnection. But I feel like your innate knowing that in order for you to develop the resource inside of you to hold the trauma, as you thought that there was a resource there to land in. And then once you felt safe enough with that, then you could go into stillness and have there be resource and not just the tea.
Yes.
Beautiful knowing. And I really
Yeah.
want our listeners to hear that innate knowing that's inside of all of us, but how wise, Lori, you've been and how you're longing for that connection and your wisdom together has brought you here.
That's my life's work now, is to offer a space where people can find that for themselves because it is within all of us. We are our best gift, or like our most precious gift is within us. And
Mm-hmm.
to be witness to that in others, that feeds me.
Mm,
That's why I do what I do. People, we're resilient as a being. It's built within us, whether it's healing through, the Qigong practices or any other modalities that people tap into. We are capable of healing ourselves, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We can do it. In the times that we're in right now, there's a call for us to step into our own self care. And that self care will ripple out into the collective care. It's free. I mean, it's within us. It's like we can do it. And there's no better time than now to step into it.
Thank you, Lori. Before we started today, we set our intentions, and one of my intentions was for our listeners to hear through you the power of healing
Mhm.
and resilience and finding unique ways of longing for that aliveness or longing for that mystery or longing for imagination or longing for the feeling of nature or the longing of play,
Mhm.
all those things. And longing for that and then discovering ways that will help you experience that,
Mhm.
right? So it's just beautiful to listen to you. And will you share with the listeners what is it that you offer so people can have access to themselves more deeply?
Over the years, I'm finally now creating my own niche, if you will. It's called Rhythmic Balance,
Mm.
cultivating vitality and nourishing life.
Will you just say that again? That's beautiful.
Rhythmic Balance, cultivating vitality, nourishing life.
Mm.
We all have access to that point that stabilizes us.
Mm.
Wherever you are along the spectrum, there's balance. Even if you're on one end of the spectrum, there's a point where you can still be in balance there. I've had my own journeys with illness and transitioning, grief, all of that. And I have never faltered, if you will. I have never succumbed to that. I've always been able to find
Mm.
some type of rhythmic way of being in that transitional phase of navigating life. And I want to show people that they can do that too. So I do it through retreats. I have a retreat coming up in March in Florida. And then I have another, that's only a weekend retreat. And then I have a retreat in Costa Rica in August for a week. So it's a little bit of a deeper dive, plus the beautiful surroundings of Costa Rica and the culture and the great way to be in community, witnessing ourselves in the midst of witnessing others into the fullness, into our fullness
Mm.
as a collective. There's no better thing to experience in my mind or in my experience. I mean, that just fills me. It fills me to the rim, and it just allows me to keep going and going and going because it's in me. It's in me. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I always say that too, right? Exactly. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love what you said. No matter what you're facing or where you are at any given moment, there's always a way to rhythmically find a center point because that's always within us. It's not about the outside, it's about how do we calibrate inside of us to face the outside.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I love
Yes.
that rhythmic balance.
A lot of times people think balance is like a static way of being, like there's no movement, like I'm balanced. I'm like, okay, I haven't been there yet, so I can't speak of that. I'm constantly in the rhythm of, oh, well, that just came, I'm having a great day, and oh, this just happened, or this just entered my field, and I'm like, oh, how am I going to navigate that now? I can still teeter a little bit, but I'm still in that center access line, if you will. And we all have that. We all have it innately in us. It was gifted to us upon creation.
I think there's a difference between stillness, which is active, actually, it's dynamic versus sedation, right?
Right.
Stillness is movement. It's just spaciousness, is what I would say, or grace, or depth, or But there's a dynamic energy, and I always say peace is a dynamic energy. It's a waterfall rushing through from point to point. Like peace is alive,
Yes.
stillness is alive,
Yes.
and I think that there's confusion that stillness is like frozen. Stillness is not being frozen. Stillness is a dynamic movement of energy within a center,
Yes.
right? And that's really what I hear you talking about. It's really beautiful to listen to. Will you explain to our listeners? I just realized some people might not know what Tai Chi or Qigong
Okay.
is, right? Like we're just talking about it
I,
like, of course, everybody knows what it is, but will you explain the difference between the two?
the easiest way to describe it is Tai Chi to me is that dynamic way of moving every part of your body in a different way, but it's coherent, cohesive. There's a flow to it. And it's great for building neuroplasticity and really changing our brain patterning. Qigong is playing with the energy or the life, the pulsating life within us on behalf of healing. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, the only thing that I did, well, I did radiation and Western treatment, but the only thing I did was Qigong as a healing modality for myself. I don't say this to discount anyone's journey that's ever experienced illness, but I sailed. Yeah, I sailed through the recovery. No ill effects or anything like that. So
Wow.
Qigong, and I equate that to Qigong.
That's amazing. Thank you. Will you say why neuroplasticity is a good thing and what it is, and why would we want neuroplasticity?
Oh my goodness gracious. Neuroplasticity. Oh, so neuroplasticity is a way to help enliven the brain and to really tap into the capacity of the brain. And for me, it's like, say, if you see a nice shiny rock on a riverbank, and that's like new, and it's like, wow. And like it fires your neurons because it's new
Mm,
and potentially out of your habituated way of seeing that. Like you've never seen a rock like that before. So the novelty or the newness of moving every part of the body, doing different things, yet all together, that is firing every moment. There's something new going on.
oh,
Like
interesting.
one hand's going up, one hand's going down, one foot's going this way, one foot's going that way. You're walking forward, you're walking back. Like all these things are going on. So you're amplifying the pathways of the brain to kind of understand, like to make it all cohesive, if you will. And as we age, as we kind of get into our devices and we're not utilizing our brains like they're meant to be utilized, we lose it or
Mm,
we dull those pathways. And it's neuroplasticity. They're meant to move and they're meant to change and they're meant to carry information to support our well-being. And Tai Chi, it's that life enhancing way of supporting brain function rather than drugs or pharmaceuticals or things like that.
well, in listening to you, it makes me curious about, does it get us out of rigid patterns in our brain that become habits and we're not seeing possibilities or actually being able to be in greater choice? It
For
expands our ability to be in choice. I think I was thinking back to you playing when you were young. Like, you weren't just in the sandbox. You were
Mhm.
creating worlds. So, like, there was, to me, that's neuroplasticity. You're imagining, you're building, you're almost like what it feels like Tai Chi might be like you're moving this way and that way and engaging with the trees while you're with the sand
Yes.
and creating teacups or, whatever worlds you're creating. And it feels like this movement thing has helped you access that kind of, I call, youthful curiosity and wonder. That's what it sounds like, where we're um, expanding in that way. And I just saw the other day that there's this woman that's teaching neuroplasticity through drawing, where you start to draw and where the pencil wants to go, you don't go that way. And so it was fascinating. I tried it. It was really interesting because it's like it's disrupting the habit and building a new pathway. And it sounds like that's what Tai Chi is doing. But I'm seeing different ways right now that it's really crucial for us as human beings to develop neuroplasticities, to keep our sense of wonder, keep our curiosity, to keep our capacity for choice. I love that. I love that that's what you're saying.
My very, very first Tai Chi book, one of the things that he said was Tai Chi helps to create efficient, effective, and effortless movement or action. And I met you, and we did embodied leadership. And I'm like, wow, what is the best way for me to live here on earth?
Mhm.
I already have an organizing design of like organizational way of being. So I'm like, I like efficiency, I like effectiveness, and I like effortlessness. So I'm building it in and throughout my entire body through the movement of Tai Chi.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to begin to wind down today. Before we do that, actually, I'd like to ask all my guests, what do you think the purpose for life is?
Purpose for life is to shine your gifts, our gifts, brightly out into the world with a little bit of quirky fun.
You are
I have
quirky
to
and
have that
fun.
in there.
Yeah, you are. Thank you. How can people get a hold of you, Lori?
Best way, email loricandon@gmail.com, or you can check out my website at loricandon.com.
Lori, thank you so much for being here today on the Purpose for Life podcast. It's been so inspiring to listen to you. I know our listeners and leaders and whoever you are going to be so inspired, and I'm very grateful to have you here.
I am so happy to be here with you. We all have it in us to shine brightly. We can do it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Suzanne.
You're welcome. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Remember, next week is a Wisdom Wednesday where you get 10 to 12 minutes of wisdom gems. And please subscribe if you haven't. This is the Purpose for Life podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Roberts, author of It's Deeper Than That and founder of The Great Reconnection. And we so appreciate you listening here with us today. Thank you.